This tool is a power stretcher. What this tool's job is to create tension throughout the carpet. It helps prevent bubbles, wrinkles, stuff like that. How this operates is I take the carpet and I poke the carpet into the tack strip pins on this side. On the bottom of the head of the power stretcher, there are teeth. And the teeth dig into the carpet. Now when I pull this lever, it creates tension throughout the whole carpet. I take this tool, I poke it into the tack strip pins on this side, and I release the power stretcher. As you can see, it's nice and flat here, and the tension is what keeps the carpet attached to the tack strip. This is a visual aid that I made to show you what happens when you take a power stretcher and put tension across the seam. Here's the seam right here. As you can see, it's slightly elevated. This problem is known as seam peaking. The science behind this is I have two pieces of wood that I use as a visual aid, and there's a piece of tape that's joining them together. When you put a tension across that joint, it elevates. Over here, what I did to prevent that is not only did I join it with a tape underneath, but I also physically bonded the ends together. I basically took a hot glue gun and I squirted hot glue in there. When you pull this, it doesn't elevate. This problem is known as seam peaking, and the techniques that I use on my jobs can prevent this. To talk about the importance of seam sealer, I personally like to use the hot glue method. As I showed before, hot glue helps reduce the effects of peaking. Basically what I do is I have a glue gun with a special tip, and I take that tip and I attach it to the backing, and I squeeze the glue out of the glue gun and apply the glue to the backing of the carpet before the seaming process begins. What this does is the tape here gets hot, and when the tape gets hot, the glue on here makes contact with that tape and re-welds the two pieces of carpet together. Here's a seam that I put together that I seamed using the hot glue gun method, and when you fold it over, the ends of the carpet stay welded together. The tape isn't the only thing that is holding it together. Here's a piece of carpet that I seamed together without using the hot glue gun method, and as you can see, it opens up. If I were to stretch the carpet in using this method here, you would see a peak in the seam. Another thing that seam sealer does is it helps prevent tuff loss. This is a piece of carpet that I took out of a job that I did a few weeks back, and you can see it's a Berber and the yarns are pulling out right where the seam is. I'm going to talk about the differences between a conventional seaming iron and a Cool Glide seaming system. This is an iron. Basically it's just a hot plate, and traditionally what you would do is take the hot plate and make direct contact with the seaming tape. As the seaming tape would heat up, you would then start moving the iron. And then you would come behind and you would work your seam. You'd move your iron a little bit more and work your seam. The downside to this is once you start, you can't stop. You have to keep that iron moving at a consistent rate. Reason being is heat distortion. As you can see here, I have something to protect the heat from distorting the backing of the carpet. What I mean by heat distortion is if we take a little bit of this carpet backing, which is this is polypropylene plastic, and we were to take this iron and drop this polypropylene on that iron, you can see what the polypropylene is starting to do. It is shrinking. That is known as heat distortion. There's a different way. This is a Cool Glide seaming system. The nice thing about this is it doesn't get hot. I can touch this, I can set it on top of the carpet, I don't have to worry about burning anything or anybody. I can leave this plugged in all day and it would not get hot. How this works is it sends a radio frequency out the bottom. The radio frequency bounces off the reflective seam tape here. The metal on the seam tape starts to get hot and the glue activates on the tape. I'll take the Cool Glide, I'll set it on top. I'll push this green button here. And what's happening right now is the radio waves are being sent through the carpet. Wait until the green light shuts off. Now that the green light shuts off, if you look carefully, you can see how there's a tack that is formed in between the tape and the carpet. The nice thing about this tool is the ability that I have to be able to do certain parts at certain times to start and stop whenever I want. A conventional iron, I can't do that. I have to keep going. If there's a problem like a bow or a pattern mismatch, I can't deal with it as easy with an iron as I can with the Cool Glide seaming system. Another thing is the adhesive on the tape operates at a low melting point, so you don't get the backing distortion. There are some differences between the tape from a conventional iron and the tape for the Cool Glide. Some of those differences are there's less glue on the tape. It's a stronger glue, so therefore you don't need as much of it. What I mean by stronger glue, this is the same glue in a glue stick form. I actually use this glue to bond tack strip to the floor, and when I stretch on it, it holds as long as the floor is clean. Another thing that I like about the Cool Glide system is that if you look at this tape, there is no physical connection here and here. There's a bead of glue here, there's a bead of glue here, and there's a bead of glue here. When I put tension across the seam, it reduces the amount of tension that's in between here and here, which helps reduce the peaking effect.